Welcome to Real Estate Today with Yvonne Candy. Learn how to invest in today's residential and commercial real estate. Get informed and get the latest news and trends. Whether you're an investor, home buyer, or homeowner, or just want to be entertained, you're in the right place. And here's your host, Yvonne Candy.
Hi, everyone. I hope all of you are doing great and out there investing in real estate or buying a new home. I guess you know by now that good credit is one of the most important assets you can have in life. It is the beginning of success and opportunities. So to help you get started, I've invited the credit woman, Tyra Colquitt. Tyra has appeared in Essence Magazine, Comcast Money Matters, WURD, and more. She is a successful real estate investor, and believe me, she knows the importance of good credit. Welcome, Tyra.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. I appreciated that.
I read where you had wrote, "Knowledge is power, but without action, it's useless." Can you emphasize on that?
Because most of us know exactly what to do. And I liken money management and credit to losing weight. We all know what to do. Drink water, exercise, eat right. But what do? We do something different. And it's the same thing people do with their money. They do something different, although they know what they should be doing. And I realized through 11 years in business, it's because it's emotional. So it's not just knowing, it's having that emotional ability to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Because just like eating what we want, it's the same thing as spending what we want, as opposed to spending or eating what we need to be healthy. It really is a health issue. And especially in America, we are unhealthy with our monies. We really are.
I agree. I think it's bad habits that we have. And one of those habits is procrastination.
And, you know, this is so true because also I can't tell you how many clients are, you know, they have to get to the point where they're willing to look at it. You have to, and they'll think, oh, next pay or next week or whatever. The thing is, until we focus on something, we can't resolve it. So it might be, and most of the time people kind of know where their money situation is. I don't have enough money. But why don't you have enough money? Have you ever actually looked at why you don't have enough money? And until you actually look and focus, you'll never get a handle on it. And more money does not make a difference. I mean, we always think if I just had more money, it'll be okay. No, it won't, because you don't take care of what you have.
Exactly. Nobody's going to knock on your front door and hand you a platter with money on it. You have to work for it. You have to set goals and set your budget. I met someone yesterday who budget very well. I'm talking about, I've never met anybody like this. She had everything down to the penny. And I looked around in her house. Her house was absolutely gorgeous. And I said, how did you do all of this living here in such a short period of time? And she says, oh, well, I budget. And I'm saying, wow. And she's saying, you know, I got enough money. I want to buy another property. I want to invest in something. And she says, oh, I can pay cash for it. And I said to myself, wow, is this what budgeting does? You know, everybody needs to learn how to budget and pay attention to their money. Some people even have a habit of knowing, just like we said before, they know they have to check their checking account. They know they have to know how much money that's in there. But yet, for some reason, they just don't check. It's like they don't want to know.
Exactly.
I don't know why that happens. I don't know what people are scared of. But this is one thing I know I've been guilty of. But you have to do it. It's better. It's better than, you know, not knowing, because it just gets worse and you wind up in a hole.
Exactly. But, you know, this is the other thing. Once again, going back to the emotional piece of this, we all, if you are, whether spending your time at a job or you're in a business, everyone makes money. Now, how much money you have, everyone has different requirements. So someone that is married with children probably has a larger household footprint than someone who's single without children. But everyone wants to kind of act like they're at the same level. You're not. if you have children, they're going to take 30 to 40% of your money. I mean, that's just, anyone with children knows that. It's gone, all right? So don't think you can go out and have drinks and stuff because they did not have the same responsibilities. And I would joke, you know how much food I could buy for my kids, going out for dinner and drinks?
Right.
Because that was my priorities. So you have to understand your priorities and not feel badly about them. And what happens sometimes is people, peer pressure in your 30s, really? Yes, it's still peer pressure. And that's where Keeping Up with the Joneses came from. But the Joneses are the Smiths and the Halls and everyone else. You have to say, what is my priority? Because it's your priority.
Exactly. And peer pressure could be at any age. Any age.
Yes.
So I understand that exactly. That's all a part of budgeting.
To me, if you don't have a budget, that's exactly what you're doing with your money. You will probably get your rent paid or your mortgage paid. You will probably be able to purchase things. But when you don't have a budget, you are not going from point A to point B. You're going from point A to, oh, right, I got to pay that too. Oh, darn, the utilities? Oh, I didn't know my electric bill would be that high. You don't have a straight plan for doing things. And one of the things I help my clients with, because to me, the first part of effective credit counseling is your budget. You have to have a budget that makes sense. And so I won't even let them go into credit counseling unless they have a budget that makes sense. Because until they get their relationship with their money in order, their relationship with their money causes whatever's going on with the credit report. So let's stop, start where we need to start. And then sometimes people can't even go forward because their money really does not make sense. And that's okay. My whole point is not to make anyone feel badly about what's going on, but to say, hey, just stop for a second. Look at where you are. Maybe you have to pay off that car that you got a note for 6 years. I mean, a 6-year car note, wow, very long. But people, they don't look at the time. They look at, I only have to pay $350 a month.
Right.
But you're paying $350 over 6 years. Let's do the math. That's a lot. People don't like math. I love math. If the numbers don't make sense, don't do it. I have a client who just texted me to say, I got to get a car. My car repairs are too much. But his budget does not support a car payment. And unfortunately, this is how people get repos, because they go out and emotionally go for that car, but don't look at the budget. Don't look at the financing.
But isn't it so true with that saying, you fail to plan, you can plan to fail?
Yes, but that also is an emotional decision to say, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't make sense. And sometimes it's not that it doesn't make sense always, it just doesn't make sense now. Right. You have to do something different, or you have to wait. And of course, we know we're in a society now where everything is now. Do it. The microwave society.
Right.
Well, when I was coming up, microwaves were new. I'm in my 50s, so it was like, ooh, a microwave.
Don't even talk about the microwave, because I remember when that stuff was getting really popular, and I was scared to even use it. So
yeah, I remember my grandparents never had a microwave. Not until years and years later.
Yeah.
They were like, how can I heat up the food like that?
Oh, look, honey, I don't want to tell my age, but I'm going to tell you, when microwaves were popular, and I'm talking about, what was that, 70s?
In the 70s, yes.
70s, microwaves were popular. I was scared of them. I'm saying, oh my God, you're going to get cancer?
Well, you know what, that was the thing too, because there was no history of them yet. I mean, whatever they did in the labs and stuff, but, it wasn't the type of thing where people really knew about microwaves. And I do remember not having a microwave in high school. Nope.
Do you remember?
And that was the 70s.
Do you remember when you had to stand stand 2 feet from the microwave?
Yes, don't stand in front of it, stand 2 feet. I was like, well, if it's doing that to our brains, what's it doing to the food that we're ingesting?
Yes.
That's it.
That was funny.
You're listening to Real Estate Today with Yvonne Candy.
Can you sort of explain this to us? Because I know this is very confusing when someone goes to a bank and they're thinking their credit score is one thing, and by the time they get to the bank, it's another thing.
And let me be totally honest. The scoring system does not make sense, number one. The fact that they have numerous, I can't even tell you how many, but I'm sure it's at least 16. I remember reading that before. At least 16 different models.
Right.
by law, I remember reading this just a couple of years ago. They cannot give out what the actual model is to say 1 + 1 = 2, or two auto loans is equal to 10 points on your credit score. They can't give out that whole analytical, this is how you get your credit score. So this is what I tell people. Instead of worrying about the score, worry about exactly what's on your report. Make sure you do not have any late payments, because a late payment will reduce your credit score by 50 points. The payment will always show late for 7 years, but it won't affect your credit score as badly after 12 months, because they figure you hit a storm, something happened, loss of employment, health issues, death, divorce, something happened, and they don't want any part of you, okay, because something happened and you had a 30-day late. So look at what you're doing. Once again, going back to the budget and your relationship with your money, if you're paying your bills on time, that's 30% of your score. The length of time that you've paid your bills on time is 35% of your score. Okay? So the two biggest things you have to do is just pay your bills on time and keep on doing it over time. So even as you were saying with your children, you don't want them to start at 18. They could do everything perfectly, and it would be about 20 before your score would be like looking perfect, because it's a time orient. You starting them earlier than that, like getting like a piggyback credit card when they're 16 or 17 years old, will really help.
Right.
That will really help. But most people can't even do that because their cards are not in good standing. Let me not say most people, but some people that have credit issues, they can't do that because they don't have a credit card that's in good standing. So don't worry about the number. Worry about the actual information that's on your credit score or on your credit report. And I always tell people you need to have 3 positive trade lines, which is 3 things that you have paid on time and that are either still open or have been open within the last year or two. Such as if you have a car payment, great. If you paid the car off in January, it's still a positive trade line. But 3 years from now, it's going to look old. So you need something that's more recent as a positive trade line.
But doesn't it make a difference as to what type of trade it is?
You do want a good mix. Yeah, I will never tell someone go out there and get a car because then you'll have a great mix on your credit report. No, don't go out there and get into unnecessary debt. And most people, when they're starting out, when it's either they're starting out because they're young or they're starting out because they have to start over, they're going to get 3 credit cards. If you do have an auto loan and it's in good standing, that's great. If you do have a mortgage, that's great. But most people have to start out with just commercial debt. And that's okay, because once you start there, you can and will get other things. Yes, you should get your first piece of real estate once you have your credit fixed up, or if you're a young person before you're 25. You don't have to move from home. I'm all for everyone staying home until you wish to leave or you have the finances to leave. But you can definitely buy your first investment property, have someone in there paying the mortgage, and you get a couple dollars back. But most importantly, you're building your credit, and your property has equity built in. So when you do want to buy your house, wonderful, you can go and you'll have something to trade off of it if you wish to sell it. If not, you have an investment property, and that's a great asset on your financials. So it's so many benefits to having various types of credit, but most importantly is to start somewhere. I just spoke to a previous client about something they did for a friend, and I was really surprised that they could do it for a friend, because usually they want it to be a spouse or a child. So it depends on who is doing the authorized user for it. But you would just add that person to your account. They don't have the ability, unless you give it to them, for them to make any type of purchases, because they don't have the card and they shouldn't have the information in order to do anything online. But it builds up their credit over time.
Yeah, this has to be a trustworthy person that you're dealing with also, someone that you know that has a good history of paying that credit card on time, because if something happens to them, it's also going to affect you if you're an authorized user.
It's going to affect you, and you cannot detach yourself if things go wrong. That's a risk you're taking. If it goes wrong, it's going wrong for you too. A personal loan is also good as long as it is reporting to all three bureaus. So this is a big thing for everyone to take away. Just because you get a credit card from ABC Company doesn't mean that they're going to report to all three agencies. They might only report to one or two, and it's very important that you find out who they report to. So I have so many client stories, and this is how I learn things and how I educate other people about it. I love credit unions, one of the best things, because they're member generated, and they will really help members. But they only, on this one particular one from my client, they only report to one bureau. And I'm like, wow, when did they start that? I could have sworn they used to report to all three. So you always have to ask a question, because when you're going to build your credit, you don't want it to just go to one bureau. You want it to go to all three bureaus, because when someone looks at you, they're going to check all three bureaus. So it does not help if you're only building one of the credit bureaus, and there's three: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. If only one is being built up, because then when they look at the other two, it's not going to look like that your credit is in order. So you have to be aware of, even when you get a credit card or a loan, that they're reporting to all three.
You're listening to Real Estate Today with Yvonne Candy.
We're talking about credit building right here, but this is also good for credit repair.
Yeah,
because what's going to happen, we were talking about credit repair, and I don't want to get people confused. I want them to also know that adding these things to your credit report will also help to offset some of the bad stuff.
Exactly, because any part of effective, and I want to say effective credit counseling, is not about just getting things off your credit report or settling items on your credit report. But what I look at as a three-pronged piece, which is we have to go in the past and resolve whatever went on in the past, which is settlements. Maybe things are due to come off your credit reports because of time. I just had someone who got a letter from a creditor from 1989. You heard me, 89. Right, that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
Who answers? It doesn't even tell me. So we called them. Now, what's on her credit report? But she got a letter this year in 2018 from a debt that started in 1989. That's when she opened it. It went to the collection company in 2008, and then they started calling in 2014. And I even said, so you do know that this debt by law is no longer applicable. And they're like, oh, so that's how you want to handle it? Because they knew it. Right? It's like, yeah, I think that's how we want to handle it. So it's like you have to understand, this because someone writes you a letter and says, pay me. What? Pay you for what exactly? That's not exactly the way it works. I don't just go and just pay you money, because the whole thing, I tell people, you can know everything right and do everything right, and 5 things in life will hit you: death, divorce, health issues, unemployment, and underemployment. They all hit your money.
What is happening when you have a creditor that is continuously putting an item on your credit report?
Well, they're selling the debt to different collection companies. But by law, when they sell the debt, it does not start the clock over. So the clock starts when the first day of the collection, not of like you owe. It's not that you owe money, but of the actual collection. And that's when the 7.5 years clock, we always say 7 years, but 7.5 years clock starts.
How do you know that? How do you know what the first day of collection is?
No, it's legal for them to keep on putting it on there until the time is over. And what is most important, I always tell people that the easiest credit bureau to read is TransUnion, because they use English. And they, if you have a credit report that's 15 pages for TransUnion, it's going to be about 30 for Equifax and 60 for Experian. Guess what? The number of pages is daunting enough, okay? 60 pages. Because they give way too much information. It's just like an overabundance of information that can help you. But TransUnion is very clear. It's very easy to read. So I always tell people you have to want to know this information. And so you have to go and get your credit reports from annualcreditreport.com. It's free. No scores, but you can get your report. It's actually amazing, Yvonne. I have, in just the last few days, almost every question you have asked me, I've talked to a client about it. I had a client that paid a telephone company for their back bill, but it was given on a credit report to a collection company. She paid the original creditor, and they shouldn't have taken the money because they didn't have a way of putting the money anywhere. So now, literally, the original creditor, the phone company, can't find her payment. And, of course, the collection company says, you never paid her.
Wow.
So now she has to go back in bank statements and find where she paid it to tell them that she paid them money because they didn't have anywhere to go. But she went into an actual store and paid it. I don't even know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. But now it's up to her to prove that she paid that money.
The burden of proof is always up to you.
You are guilty in this instance until you prove yourself innocent.
Right, right. I understand that you should maintain a certain balance in order to help your credit score.
Exactly. So it should be 30% of whatever the credit limit is. So when I ask people to usually get secured credit cards, the amounts are usually about $300. So 30% of $390, just don't have it go over $100. So if you think of that and think of, I'm just going to put gas in my car and maybe go some grocery shopping, you're fine. And the thing is not to pay it to zero, because if we go back to our math, which I said I love, that the ratio cannot be calculated if you don't owe any money. 0 over 0 is nothing. You can't do anything to it, you know? So you have to have where you have $5, $10, $20 still on there, okay? You have to have some multiple. Now, if you have great credit, it does not harm you to pay off your debt. It does not even harm you to do it if you're trying to build credit. But I'm trying to have people play the game, and that ratio will help rise their credit rating, their FICO score. Like Ken, and he was 7, so we beat him all the time. And it's because he would just spend all his money all the time. No plan. Once again, you have to have a plan for this. Right. You have to know the rules. And so I tell people, you can do it your way, but then it's just the rules of it. And if you follow the rules instead of trying to change the rules, you will succeed at the game of money. Just a game. Don't take it personally. You just want the end result. Your budget, I also say this, your budget is a GPS for your finances. I love on the phone that now we have the whole little Waze and everything else, Google Maps, but you don't. I know you remember this too. The little maps you used to buy the map books or go to AAA when you were going on a trip. They would do the maps for you and stuff.
Right.
Put in the address, put it up on the dashboard, and go.
Right. Oh, so wow.
Yeah. The rule of the game is not to go back to AAA. The rule of the game is use what you have. You have a little computer in your hand. You put in the address, the GPS goes, and it tells you how to go. Same way, I want people to just understand the rules. If you do the rules, if you follow the directional guideposts, you will get there. It may take time, but what are you doing otherwise?
Exactly. And you're going to look back and say, yeah, I should have started then. I could have done that then.
It.
Yeah, because nothing would have transpired in the time that you did nothing. When you go to dispute items on your credit report, do you suggest that someone do it online, or should they send them a letter?
I suggest that they can do it online if it's something simple, such as an address change, or if they never had a Macy's card, it's going to be simple. However, if it's something that is yours and it's not being reported correctly, you can try it online, but it's always good to have supporting evidence. And sometimes you can, they do have it where you can upload those pieces of paper, and then sometimes they don't, and sometimes it's just better. I like writing actual letters out because I want a response. And even, I know sometimes people are like, oh, send it registered mail. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. I've had things come back from the courts saying undeliverable. I'm like, you're joking, right? It's a court. The address is on the credit report, and no one would sign for it. Like, no one wanted to be responsible for signing for it and saying, yes, I received it. Unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable. But that's why, so many things stay incorrect on people's credit reports, because sometimes it is a fight to get information updated properly. And especially when you're working with courts and certain places, I'm sure they get a lot of information because they have a lot of inaccurate information, and it's something that they have to do. But it's something that you're just going to have to. It's important enough to fight for your rights and for things to be corrected on your credit report.
Is there such a thing as having too much credit?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Because at some point, do you really need 10 store cards? I was one of those people in my 20s, all right? Do you really need 4 MasterCards? Once again, I'm talking about myself. No, if you are a regular consumer, you do not need $20,000 worth of consumer debt. You don't. Because you don't have a business. You don't need to be in that much debt. Now, it's different if you have a Home Depot card to get a washer or a dryer or something like that. But we're talking about this simple, I'm going out to Macy's and things like that. No, you really don't need all of that. You don't need it. You might want it, but you don't need it. I tell people you should have, emergency $1,000 on a credit card and a couple that you use. And you should even kind of segregate it. So this might be what you use for your gas and food, and this might be for, entertainment and things that are quote unquote not necessary items. So you always know how you're spending your money, because food and gasoline for your car are necessary items to me. But entertainment is not necessary. Not necessary in the aspect that you have to spend a whole lot of money. You should always do something for yourself because you work and you live, and that's just a part of the human experience. But you don't have to. I had someone, a potential client, the person never became a client, who called me, and let's say in February, and they had vacations planned for March, April, and June. I knew they were never becoming a client because you have 3 vacations set up. And you said you have no money? Well, I can tell you why you don't have money. But I'm sure you don't want to hear from me, so
right.
They never became a client. That's definitely it. It's like, that's where the emotional piece comes in. It was more important to go and travel. And I love traveling. I'm never going to tell someone not to travel, but do you have to have 3 vacations set up? Would one do while you're trying to get your finances in order? But that's living up to someone else's expectation, too. One more caveat, and because we were talking about mortgages, it's the same thing with student loans. If you have a child that's going to school, the same thing. Your credit report must be clean. I just had a client that couldn't get a Parent Plus loan because they had 2 collection accounts. It's so important to look at your credit now, because whenever you need it, you're not going to have time, because they will just tell you no.
There are some lenders who will do rapid scoring.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if all lenders do it, but I do know there are some lenders, let's say Quicken, I know does it, Quicken Loans, and they are connected with a credit repair company that will actually have errors corrected on your credit report, which will increase your credit score in about 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have to have proof. So in other words, if you're disputing something or you're saying you paid off something and it's not showing on your credit report, or something isn't yours, you have to have proof of this. And you send this to the credit repair company, and they will send this to the credit bureau, and they would increase your score. Now, I'm quite sure you heard of this.
Oh, definitely. That is not what I do. It's not what I do. But that is definitely a very good option, and very important if you're trying to get a mortgage and you might have one thing on your credit report and you need something done quickly. I mean, within days. That's definitely a big one.
But if you're not able to, not willing to repair your own credit, or you just don't understand it and you need some help, you can contact Tyra. She will help you through the process. Tyra, give them your information.
So I always joke with people and say, my name is Tyra Colquitt, but I do not want you to remember my name. I want you to remember what I do. I am the Credit Woman. You can Google my name, and if you can't find the Credit Woman, you're no longer on planet Earth. Okay? But my email address is thecreditwoman@gmail.com. My website is thecreditwoman.com. On Facebook, I am The Credit Woman. I have a Facebook page. On there, on Google Plus, I am The Credit Woman. You get the drift, it's The Credit Woman.
Well, there you go, The Credit Woman. If you need help, contact The Credit Woman, and she will get you right back on track. Thank you so much, Tyra, for joining us, and we'll get together again and talk about some other things.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Yvonne.
You've been listening to Real Estate Today with Yvonne Candy. Don't forget to visit us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all other social media.